Welcome back to the Republic Brothers podcast. He's Matt, I'm Mike. Today's March 8th, 2026, and this is episode 40. Before we get into the show, please hit the subscribe button and like the episode so you don't miss our next episode on Thursday. Today we're getting into the Kristi Noem firing, Operation Epic Fury, and the Save America Act. Let's go. Welcome back to the show. Before we get into Operation Epic Fury and everything else, I want to play a clip that I saw the other day after we recorded our last episode. This made me laugh so hard.
Jasmine, Republicans wanted you to win. No one rigged it for James. We wanted you to win because, and I know this is going to be hard to stomach, because you're a joke. We knew it would be a slaughter in the general election. You know, you're right. It was rigged, but it was rigged by your own party. The media establishment and the Democrat in office in America got behind the white guy. They decided he was their guy, and you weren't, Jazzy. All the way to The Late Show, where they perpetrated a hoax on the American people that Donald Trump's FCC censored an interview between Stephen Colbert and James Tallarico, which did not happen. And that was his big breakthrough moment from name recognition on the national stage. You got the Bernie Sanders treatment. You got the Democratic Party picking its heir apparents, and it wasn't you, Jasmine. We wish it would have been you. We wish it would have been Jasmine Crockett, but it's not. And I feel confident that there will be some place that you'll land solidly on your feet, perhaps The View, but it won't be as a senator from Texas. Now,
how fitting that you said on the last episode that we would have preferred Jasmine Crockett to win, and then the next day I see this clip from Will Cain saying the exact same thing.
That is great and true. Totally agree with Will Cain that she got the Bernie Sanders treatment, where the party handpicked the next candidate. In a general election in Texas, she would have been beaten easily. Will Cain is spot on with that take, but I already said that. I would love to think Will heard our show and thought it was a great take by myself, but odds are he came up with it on his own.
One can dream, though. So we're going to get into the Iran stuff soon, but before we do that, I want to talk about Kristi Noem real quick. On Thursday, March 5th, 2026, President Trump took to Truth Social and announced that Noem is out as Secretary of Homeland Security. Officially, the president is framing it as a transition. He's moving her to a new role as a Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. This is the first major cabinet firing of the second term. The media is pointing at the shootings in Minnesota and the $220 million she spent in TV ads. Now, I've seen some reports that said that Trump signed off on those, but I've also seen some that say Trump disputed that, saying he never saw them or authorized them. So she's heading into this special envoy role, and the president has already named the successor, Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma. Mullin is a rock-solid ally and a former MMA fighter, and he's coming into DHS starting March 31st. Matt, do you think this is just a personnel shuffle, or did Noem become a liability?
Well, it was a firing, and given Trump did this, it makes me think he didn't approve of the ad money. I don't think the shootings in Minnesota had much to do with it. The Trump administration defended the officers, as did Kristi Noem, so it most likely wasn't a factor. She did have quite a few press conferences throughout this term for Trump that went a bit off the rails, and that was probably more of a factor. To help with her image, though, they framed it as a transition to a new role, but it's quite the demotion. She was becoming a bit of a liability. There were many reports out there that said she thought she was more important than the agency itself. If that were true, it would be best to move on.
So what are your thoughts on her replacement, Markwayne Mullin?
Probably a good choice, in my opinion. He will continue the Trump administration's stated aims of removing illegal immigrants and making Americans safer. He would be less likely to make it about himself. He's a pretty loyal guy to Trump, and that's something that all politicians want, but especially Trump after his first term with all the leaks that came from his administration.
Yeah, we will see what all happens there. Let's get into our Operation Epic Fury update. We are on day 8 since the first attacks by U.S. and Israeli forces. We're going to start with this clip from Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt.
As for the future of Iran, as the president has pointed to, of course it's in the best interest of the United States of America for Iran to no longer be led by a radical terrorist regime that chants death to America and is lying to the United States and the world about their secret ambitions to possess a nuclear bomb. President Trump does not want to see that. He wants to take an interest in pursuing who the next leader of the Iranian country is going to be, and that has yet to be seen, and the president is discussing it and deliberating.
She is spot on. Do you want the leading state sponsor of terrorism to have the weapon Robert Oppenheimer described as the destroyer of worlds? Oppenheimer said that in 1945 when the yields on those weapons were smaller. Imagine what Iran would do today if they had nuclear weapons.
Yeah, lots of people have said at this point that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would most definitely use it.
And we've heard, and I absolutely believe it to be true, that this operation happened now because Iran was stockpiling missiles and drones so that they could hide behind them. The idea they had was get so many of these weapons that if somebody attacked you, you could launch thousands of them. The idea was to make the retaliatory strike scary enough that nobody would attack.
Yeah, and when a country has this mindset amongst its leaders, of course, if someone fires anything at them or has any conflict with them, they're just going to start blowing up the world.
And we've said many times, Iran doesn't care about civilian casualties.
Yeah. Iran has selected their new leader, not really a job I'd be lining up for right now. The new supreme leader is the son of the former Ayatollah. Talk about living up to daddy's legacy.
Iran's Assembly of Experts have appointed now Ayatollah Khomeini's son, Mojtaba Khomeini, as their new leader. These are pictures right now, in Iran. President Trump suggested that this specific person wouldn't be acceptable. And I think even Israel has reported today that they're going to go after whoever the next person is.
Trump and Bibi Netanyahu have already said they don't want a continuation of the policies that led to this. And he was explicitly named as someone who is not an acceptable replacement. So I would expect Israel to target him at some point. How long does it take before he is dumb enough to come above ground and risk an airstrike? Who knows, but given the clerics decided to get together after the war had already started, they may not have as much reasoning to their thinking as we hope.
Well, then we have the questions that I think everyone's asking the last couple days, and that is this. Are we going to put boots on the ground, and how long is this going to take? Here was Senator Kennedy talking about boots on the ground.
We're going to turn parts of Iran, those who are enemies, into fish food and then get out. I do not believe the president will send in troops. In fact, if he sends in troops, the thud you hear will be me face planting because I fainted. I think this will all take a matter of weeks, and after we are done, it'll be up to the good people, and they are good people of Iran, to try to overthrow these knobheads who are in charge now.
Given what we know about how things are going, and assuming that those things are true, this should not take long. We've been told that Iran isn't putting up much of a fight, and I personally just hope that this is quick and we don't lose any more troops.
We have air supremacy, so I highly doubt ground troops will be used. There is a risk of ground troops, but it is not from the U.S. If it happens, it will be the Kurds who are in the western part of Iran, as well as parts of Iraq. Iran is only 60 to 65% Persian. It's a pretty ethnically diverse place. And it would be some of those smaller ethnicities that would consider doing it. They may try and create their own state, but I don't know that it's going to happen. My best guess would be no ground troops, even from the Kurds. As far as the U.S. goes, we just don't have the stomach for high casualties. If the U.S. sent in ground troops, you would inevitably have far more casualties, which is just unacceptable for a large majority of Americans, including myself.
Yeah, I agree. We don't want people to be going over there and dying. So we definitely don't want to put boots on the ground.
It might take longer doing it the way we are, but it minimizes casualties, so it's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I think most sensible people would agree that it taking a little bit longer and not having to put boots on the ground is the right way to go.
We don't want any more casualties. We want the number, which I believe is now 7, to stay the same. Given the Air Force and the Navy are circling overhead of Iran waiting for targets to pop up, there is a chance we lose some. Iran would absolutely love to bring down an F-35, so they're going to take some shots at it. Hopefully, no one else has to be a casualty in this, and we can win quickly.
Now, Trump is calling for unconditional surrender from Iran. This is what he had to say about that.
Can you give us an idea of what unconditional surrender looks like to you? I mean, what do you want from Iran?
I said unconditional, not conditional. I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer and there's nobody around to cry uncle. That could happen too, because we've wiped out their leadership numerous times already. So it's if they surrender, or if there is nobody around to surrender, but they're rendered useless in terms of military.
We're also seeing reports now as well that the U.S. and Israeli forces have begun going after oil in Iran. Did you see this coming?
A little bit. It is not a massive surprise that a country at war would target energy infrastructure. It is worth noting that the targets were in or around Tehran. Those are the oil supplies for the capital and not really an export field. The goal will be to starve the IRGC of oil and create shortages inside Iran while not causing a massive increase in oil prices globally. That's a strategy most countries use, and it is a bit risky because Iran may divert some of the export oil to other parts inside Iran. Time will tell if Iran makes that decision to divert that oil. The hope for the Western world will be that it doesn't cause another increase in oil prices.
Well, obviously, we will continue to monitor Operation Epic Fury and Iran and all that. I want to move on to our next topic. It's something we have not talked about, and it is the Save America Act. Now, firstly, what exactly is the Save America Act? The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility America Act is a high-profile piece of legislation currently moving through Congress. While federal law already prohibits non-citizens from voting in federal elections, this act focuses on the documentation required to prove eligibility. As of March 2026, the bill has passed the House of Representatives and is currently awaiting a vote in the Senate. The bill proposes several significant changes to how Americans register and cast their ballots. Now, first, it requires individuals to provide physical documentation, such as a passport, birth certificate, or a naturalization certificate, in order to register to vote in federal elections. It also comes with strict photo ID. This would implement federal requirement to show a valid photo ID at the polls. It specifically limits the types of accepted IDs, often excluding student IDs or certain state-issued cards that do not explicitly denote citizenship. This also mandates that states cross-reference their voter registration lists with federal databases in order to identify and remove non-citizens. And it requires voters using absentee or mail-in ballots to provide a photocopy of a qualifying ID both when applying for and when submitting their ballot. Now, let's get into the arguments for it. The biggest one, I think, is preventing potential fraud. Proponents argue that relying on self-attestation, i.e. checking a box on a form, is an outdated system that is vulnerable to exploitation, especially given recent surges in border crossings. This also will instill more public confidence. Supporters point to polling showing that a vast majority of Americans, over 80% in some surveys, support photo ID requirements. They argue that visible security measures increase trust in the final results. They also contend that because some states allow non-citizens to obtain driver's licenses, those licenses are no longer a reliable proxy for citizenship. The act ensures that the distinction between lawful presence and citizenship is strictly enforced. This is something we saw with those states giving driver's licenses, commercial driver's licenses, to illegal immigrants.
California.
New York. Now, here's the arguments against it. The Democrats are saying that this is redundant. Critics point out that it is already a federal crime for non-citizens to vote, punishable by prison and deportation. They argue that documented instances of non-citizen voting are, quote, vanishingly rare and have never impacted a federal outcome. Now, I'm going to call BS on that one. We already know that illegal immigrants vote. California proved that just a few months ago when we found out that they were calling illegal immigrants for jury duty. And how do you get called for jury duty, you ask? It means you registered to vote. Being a crime does not mean that people won't do it, obviously. Democrats are also calling this mass disenfranchisement. Research from groups like the Brennan Center suggests that up to 21 million eligible U.S. citizens lack easy access to a birth certificate or passport. This includes the elderly, low-income citizens, and students. So go get one. Just because you don't have it right now doesn't mean you can't get it. This is the one that bothers me. They're saying this will have an impact on women and trans people. Opponents highlight that many married women, roughly 90% of whom change their names, do not have a birth certificate that matches their current ID. The act would force these voters to produce marriage licenses or court orders just to register. Okay, so what? I'm pretty sure the women that are getting married and changing their name realize that they're going to need a marriage certificate to go change their name.
And they also know when they get married and change their name that it comes with a lot of work because you have to change your name everywhere. Your bank account, your driver's license, your Costco membership, everything, you have to change it all.
The next point is state election officials have voiced concern that the bill provides no federal funding to overhaul registration systems or train staff, while simultaneously imposing criminal penalties on workers who make a mistake during registration. How much training do you need to check a list and make sure that it qualifies as proof of citizenship?
You could probably use AI at this point to do that check for you.
I mean, if someone comes in and goes, here's my student ID card, you say, okay, student ID card. You go over to your list that's next to you on the right, and you search on your list. Do I see student ID on here? Oh, yeah, I see student ID right here. It's under the list of things that do not qualify. Sorry, sir, here's your student ID back. This won't work. How hard is that? How anyone could argue against this is beyond me. The arguments against it are just plain stupid and have so many holes in them. We should all be able to agree that we want our elections to be fair. Just ask Jasmine Crockett how she feels about her election loss. She's blaming it on cheating. Requiring ID to vote is simple. If you really want to vote and you can't figure out how to identify yourself, you don't deserve to vote. I've said that on this podcast so many times. It is really not that hard. And before someone says, oh, well, women who got married and their last name doesn't match won't be able to vote. We already addressed that. It's not that hard to show your marriage license or any other number of things to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. Making excuses on why people are too stupid to get an ID is not helping your case, Democrats.
You'll agree with me on this point, but I think voting should not be so easy that anyone can do it. If you can't figure out how to get some form of identification, you are probably an uninformed voter who shouldn't get a say. It's funny how you bring up Jasmine Crockett because she's a perfect example. It's far more common today, but how often do we see someone lose an election, then they run to the media to say someone cheated or it was rigged? Both sides do it. Some people hate losing and will look for any excuse. Anything you can do to increase confidence that the voting process was fair and secure is a good thing. As you said, not everyone follows the law, so anything we can do to make it harder for the criminal to vote is a good thing. Illegal immigrants have voted before. My question to you, Mike, is simple. For the women who got married, how hard is it to find your marriage license? Are you hiding yours so your wife can't vote?
Yes, I am hiding mine so that my wife cannot find it, and then that way I can cancel out her vote. No, I'm just kidding. She votes the same way we do. Yeah, it's really not that hard to get a copy of your marriage license. In most places, you can go online and get a copy of it. And if you need an original or the certified version of it, you can go online and request it and pay for a new one. It's not that hard.
And I would bet I could walk into your house and find your marriage license in 5 minutes. I'm going to guess it's in the desk with other important documents.
Yeah, you'd probably find it within 2 minutes, to be honest. Actually, if it took you that long, I would be surprised because it's labeled in the desk with important stuff like birth certificates. Oh, imagine that. Birth certificates, marriage license, like all that kind of important paperwork. Like you keep all that together. And if you don't have that important paperwork, shame on you. Go get a new one.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, the part where you said you don't understand why people are against this, I think it's simple. The left does not want any new law that can make it harder to potentially rig or cheat in an election. They don't see it as cheating. They truly want illegal immigrants to be able to vote, and it's for a simple reason. The right side is for legal immigration, where the left is for illegal immigration. You can bring far more people in if you do it the illegal way, and those people will always vote for the side that will let them stay in the country that they broke the law to get into.
Yeah, completely agree. This is just the Democrats afraid to say the quiet part out loud. You're not actually advocating for women who got married or low-income people who can't get access to these things. You just don't want to say out loud that you want illegal immigrants to vote.
Well, you can't say it out loud. If you say it out loud, then anyone who believes in replacement theory is correct. Replacement theory is not that far off from the truth, in my opinion. I don't think they're completely trying to remove the American vote, but they are trying to increase their own numbers to ensure they always win.
All right, well, let's get to the end of the show here. It is time, of course, for our blind ranking segment. Same category as last episode, non-politicians that I would vote for president. Matt, go ahead and fire away.
I've got some interesting names here for you. And the first one is a very good one. Robert De Niro.
5.
5, that was quick.
Yep, easy, 5. We know how Robert De Niro feels about Donald Trump, and Robert De Niro has was it a trans daughter or a trans son? I don't remember exactly. He's got a trans something or other, so 5 right off the bat.
Understandable. Next up, we have Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. I'm going to throw the rookie at 2.
Going number 2, okay.
Yeah, you like that little pun, that little play on words? I'm going to throw the rookie at 2.
Now we have longtime Republican Clint Eastwood.
See, this is getting tough now because I don't know what's coming next. Do I go 1 and leave 3 and 4 open?
Tough call.
Yeah, I'm going to put him at 1 so I don't get stuck later.
Going number 1, all right. I know where the next one's going. Oprah Winfrey.
4.
Oprah above De Niro. You good with that?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I mean, it's close, but yeah.
Yeah.
You could flip-flop them or leave them the same. I don't think it makes too much difference.
And your number 3 is Sam Elliott.
I'm good with that. Yep. I think I nailed it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you got that one right. I wouldn't really make any changes myself. So you went Clint Eastwood at 1, Dennis Quaid number 2, Sam Elliott 3, Oprah Winfrey 4, and Robert De Niro 5.
I like it. I think that is a solid list. Well, that is it for episode 40 of the Republic Brothers podcast. If you're still listening, you're exactly who the podcast is for. Before you click away, please hit the subscribe and follow button. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. If you agree or disagree with anything we talked about, drop a comment and let us know. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.